Imagine the dazzling lights, the roaring crowds, and the thrill of working with powerful animals. For years, you perform countless shows, sell out arenas, and reap the rewards fame, fortune, and a bond with your creatures that feels unbreakable. But then, in a single instant, that bond snaps. The connection you trusted becomes the very thing that destroys you. This was the reality for Islam Shaheen, a seasoned lion tamer whose career ended in tragedy when he stepped into the ring one final time. What happened next was beyond anything the audience could have imagined. On November 27, 2016, Alexandria Lion Village in Egypt was buzzing with anticipation. Families, school groups, and locals had gathered to witness one of the park's most popular attractions, the lion taming performance. Among the stars of the show was Islam Shaheen, a man who had spent over a decade commanding the stage with his mastery over some of the most powerful predators on Earth. Islam, at 35 years old, was no stranger to the dangers of his profession. He had worked as a lion tamer for 13 years, a job that demanded precision, courage, and unwavering composure. Born and raised in Egypt, Islam grew up captivated by the world of animals. He started his career as a handler, working behind the scenes to care for the lions and other animals at Lion Village. Over time, he developed a reputation for his ability to work closely with big cats, earning the respect of his colleagues and the admiration of the park visitors. Islam's performances became the centerpiece of the park's shows. Audiences marveled at the way he commanded the lions, guiding them through daring routines with a simple wooden stick. While some questioned the ethics of his work, others viewed him as a master of his craft, a man who had dedicated his life to creating a spectacle that left crowds in awe. Outside of the ring, Islam was known for his calm demeanor and steady presence. Those who worked with him described him as disciplined and methodical, someone who treated the animals with care while understanding the risks involved. The Lion Village, however, had its share of controversies. Located about an hour and a half from Cairo, the park featured lions, tigers, camels, and other exotic animals. But critics often highlighted the poor living conditions of the animals, many of which were kept in cramped enclosures with little room to move. Some animals showed signs of malnourishment, their thin frames and dull coats hinting at the neglect they faced. Despite these issues, the park remained a popular destination, relying on the thrill of its performances to draw in visitors. On that November evening, the audience filled the arena, their excitement palpable as upbeat music played over the loudspeakers. The performance was set to feature three lions, including a newcomer to the Pride, a large male recently imported from South Africa. This lion, with its thick dark mane and muscular frame, was an impressive addition to the show. However, its temperament had proven unpredictable. It had attacked a trainer in the past, but the incident had been dismissed as an anomaly. Park management believed the lion would adapt over time, and it was included in the show despite its history. The performance began smoothly. Islam entered the ring alongside two other trainers, each armed with a wooden stick. The lions were guided through their routines, climbing ladders and opening their jaws on command to display their razor-sharp teeth. The audience watched, captivated by the sight of the powerful animals responding to the trainer's instructions. But the new lion stood apart, its behavior more hesitant. It lingered at the edge of the ring, eyes locked on Islam. The trainers continued the performance, unaware of the danger brewing. As Islam directed one of the lions to climb a ladder, the new lion suddenly moved. Its body tensed, its tail flicked, and without warning it lunged. In a blur of muscle and claws, the lion closed the distance between them, its powerful frame crashing into Islam and bringing him to the ground. The audience erupted into screams as the reality of the attack became clear. The lion's claws tore into Islam's clothing and flesh, its jaws clamping down on his neck. The trainers reacted immediately, striking the lion with their sticks in an attempt to drive it off. But the animal's instincts had taken over, and it refused to release its grip. The arena descended into chaos. Parents grabbed their children, rushing them toward the exits. Some spectators fumbled with their phones, recording the horrifying scene, while others simply stood frozen, unable to process what they were witnessing. The lion dragged Islam across the ring, shaking its head violently. Blood stained the concrete floor as the trainers continued their efforts to subdue the animal. After what felt like an eternity, the lion finally released Islam and retreated to the edge of the ring, its jaws dripping with blood. The trainers rushed to Islam's side, carrying his motionless body out of the ring as emergency services were called. Islam was rushed to Andalusian Salam Hospital, where medical staff worked tirelessly to save him. His injuries were extensive: a fractured skull, deep lacerations to his neck and face, broken bones, and internal bleeding. Despite their best efforts, Islam succumbed to his injuries 2 days later. The news of his death sent shockwaves through the community and beyond. Following the attack, Lion Village was temporarily closed as authorities launched an investigation. A spokesperson for the park suggested that the lion's aggression was due to mating season, a time when male lions are known to exhibit heightened territorial behavior. However, critics pointed to the conditions of the park, arguing that the stress of captivity and inadequate safety measures were significant contributing factors. The controversy reignited debates about the ethics of using wild animals in entertainment and the risks posed to both trainers and spectators. Photos of Islam emerged in the days after his death, showing him working closely with the lions. In one image, he stood inches from a lion's face, his stick extended as the animal's whiskers brushed against his chin. The images painted a picture of a man deeply committed to his work, yet they also drove home the reminder of the unpredictability of wild animals, even those raised in captivity. Islam's death showed how quickly control can slip away in the presence of raw power. But what happens when the bond between man and beast breaks in front of thousands? For Roy Horn, one half of the world-famous duo Siegfried and Roy, a legendary Las Vegas performance, turned into a nightmare that would forever alter the course of their celebrated careers. On October 3, 2003, Las Vegas was alive with the glittering energy that made it the city of endless entertainment. At the Mirage Hotel and Casino, an audience packed into the theater, ready to witness one of the Strip's most famous acts. Siegfried and Roy, known for their larger-than-life performances featuring illusions and live exotic animals, had become icons in the entertainment world. Their show, a spectacle of magic and wildlife, had drawn millions over its 13-year run. But this night would mark a devastating turn of events. Siegfried Fischbacher and Roy Horn had captivated audiences for decades, combining Siegfried's intricate illusions with Roy's command over some of nature's most majestic creatures. White tigers were the centerpiece of their act, and none was more famous than Manticore, a 400-pound tiger raised in captivity and integrated into their performances from a young age. For years, Manticore had been a symbol of the bond between man and beast, his presence both inspiring and commanding. That night, he took the stage again alongside Roy. Under the bright spotlight, the theater was electric as the audience erupted into applause, their focus fixed on the lone stage where Roy appeared with Manticore at his side. The tiger moved with the sleek grace of a predator, its pale fur gleaming under the lights. The act began without issue, the pair moving through the well-rehearsed routine as the crowd sat enthralled. Then, in an unscripted moment, Roy lifted his microphone toward Manticore, instructing the tiger to say hello. Instead, the tiger bit on Roy's sleeve. Roy responded by tapping Manticore on the nose with the microphone, a signal intended to correct the behavior. Manticore released the sleeve but did not retreat. Seconds later, the tiger lunged, knocking Roy to the ground. The audience gasped as the spotlight illuminated the tiger pinning Roy with its massive paws. A hushed confusion swept over the theater, with some unsure whether the unfolding scene was part of the act or a shocking break from the illusion. Manticore's jaws clamped onto Roy's neck, dragging him across the stage. The sound of gasps and cries began to rise from the crowd. Trainers rushed in, spraying fire extinguishers and shouting commands, attempting to break Manor's grip. Their efforts were met with resistance as the tiger pulled Roy further, its strength overwhelming the attempts to subdue it. blood pooled on the stage, visible even under the harsh stage lights. Siegfried appeared, shouting commands as the trainers escalated their efforts, using the butt of a fire extinguisher to strike the tiger's head. After what seemed like an eternity, Manticore finally released Roy and retreated. The trainers immediately carried Roy backstage, where he lay motionless. Emergency responders arrived swiftly, working to stop the bleeding as Roy was rushed to University Medical Center. His injuries were severe: a crushed windpipe, a severed jugular vein, and a damaged vertebra. He had lost a massive amount of blood, and his condition was critical. News of the attack spread quickly, sending shockwaves through Las Vegas and beyond. The Mirage Theater, once filled with cheers and applause, was now eerily silent, its audience left stunned. Manticore was quickly secured and returned to his enclosure, but the damage was done. The attack ended not just the night's performance, but the entire run of Siegfried and Roy's iconic show. Surgeons worked tirelessly to save Roy's life. During the procedure, he suffered multiple cardiac arrests, and part of his skull was removed to relieve swelling in his brain. Despite the odds, Roy survived, though the attack left him permanently impaired. He lost much of his motor function, and his ability to speak was severely diminished. The incident ignited a firestorm of controversy. The U.S. Department of Agriculture launched an investigation into the attack, while animal rights groups renewed calls to retire performing animals. Speculation about what caused Manticore's behavior ranged from claims of a stroke suffered by Roy during the performance to allegations of mishandling. Roy himself later stated that Manticore had been attempting to protect him, though this explanation was met with skepticism. Others pointed to the inherent risks of working with wild animals, even those raised in captivity. Manticore remained under the care of Siegfried and Roy until his death in 2014. The duo, though retired from regular performances, made a brief return to the stage in 2009 for a final act, a gesture of closure to their illustrious career. Roy continued to live at the Jungle Palace, surrounded by the animals he had devoted his life to. In 2020, he passed away after battling a severe illness, leaving behind a legacy marked by wonder, risk, and the unbreakable allure of the magic they created. The attack remains one of the most infamous moments in entertainment history. It demonstrated the fine line performers walk when blending illusion with the extreme power of wild animals. For Siegfried and Roy, it was the night their magic faltered, leaving behind a story of triumph, tragedy, and the enduring mystique of the white tiger. Roy's attack shocked the world with its rare betrayal during a polished performance. But what happens when the illusion of control is shattered completely? For Alexander Crispin, the roar of the crowd gave way to chaos as a tiger turned on its trainer in a brutal display of power, leaving the audience to question if they had ever been safe at all. On February 2, 2013, the Suarez Brothers Circus set up its grand tent in the small town of Echajoa, Sonora, Mexico. The arrival of the circus was a highlight for the local community, a chance for families to experience the wonder and thrill of live performances under the bright light of the big top. Among the performers that evening was Alexander Crispin Suarez, a 35-year-old animal trainer whose daring acts with Bengal tigers were the centerpiece of the show. Known for his mastery and precision, Alexander's work brought audiences to their feet with every performance. But this night would mark the end of his career in the most devastating way. Alexander came from a family forged in circus tradition. His life had been shaped by the nomadic lifestyle and long days of rigorous practice that defined the world of performance art. From a young age, he gravitated toward the animals that were the heart of the circus. Bengal tigers, with their striking orange coats and fierce presence, became his specialty. Over the years, he developed a deep understanding of the tiger's behavior, earning a reputation as a skilled and courageous trainer. His acts emphasized both the tiger's incredible power and the trust built between human and beast, creating a show that left audiences awestruck. The Suarez Brothers Circus was one of the last traditional circuses in Mexico to feature live animals, a practice that had faced increasing scrutiny worldwide. Despite the controversy, The circus remained a beloved institution in EOA, and the performances consistently drew large crowds. That February evening, the tent was packed with families, their children's faces lighting up with excitement as the show began. The audience cheered as acrobats, clowns, and other performers took the stage, preparing the scene for Alexander's grand act with the tiger. When Alexander stepped into the ring, he was accompanied by two Bengal tigers. The animals moved with controlled elegance, their muscular bodies reflecting the harsh glow of the stage lights. The act began with a well-rehearsed routine. Alexander jogged in circles around the tigers, cueing them to spin on low platforms. The synchronization between the trainer and the animals was mesmerizing, a witness to their countless hours of practice. The audience watched in amazement, their cheers and applause resounding through the tent. But in an instant, the controlled atmosphere disappeared. One of the 450-pound tigers abruptly stopped its spin and turned toward Alexander. Without hesitation, the tiger lunged, knocking him to the ground with its immense weight. Gasps erupted from the crowd as the tiger clamped its powerful jaws around Alexander's legs, dragging him across the ring. The other tiger remained still, its eyes fixed on the commotion. As chaos unfolded, circus staff rushed into the ring, wielding metal stands to try to separate the tiger from Alexander. They struck the tiger repeatedly, but the animal's grip did not loosen. The audience, initially unsure if the attack was part of the act, quickly realized the gravity of the situation. Screams filled the air as parents grabbed their children, fleeing toward the exits. The joy and excitement that had filled the tent just moments earlier gave way to panic and chaos. As the staff continued their efforts, the tiger attacked again, this time sinking its teeth into Alexander's neck. The trainer lay motionless on the sawdust-covered floor, his body battered and bloodied. The once vibrant atmosphere of the circus had turned into a scene of horror, with the audience scrambling to escape and the staff desperately trying to save their colleague. Finally, the tiger released Alexander and was forced back into its enclosure, but the damage had already been done. Alexander was rushed to a nearby hospital in Wada Bomo, where medical personnel worked tirelessly to save his life. The injuries were severe: deep puncture wounds to his neck and legs, massive blood loss, and internal trauma. Despite their best efforts, Alexander succumbed to his injuries shortly after arriving at the hospital. Word of the tragedy traveled quickly, rippling through the local community and beyond. In the days following the attack, authorities launched an investigation into the incident. Inspectors confirmed that the Suarez Brothers Circus held valid permits for its 11 Bengal tigers and other exotic animals. However, the attack reignited debates about the ethics and safety of using wild animals in performances. Critics pointed to the inherent risks of working with such powerful creatures, even under the most controlled circumstances. Animal rights groups called for an end to live animal acts, arguing that these performances endangered both the animals and the humans who worked with them. The Suarez Brothers Circus continued its tour, but the memory of that night cast a shadow over every performance. The tragedy lingered, with the Suarez Brothers name transforming what was once a source of joy and wonder into a gruesome reminder of the dangers lurking behind the spectacle. The circus community mourned the loss of Alexander, a man who had dedicated his life to the art and to the animals he worked with. Not every tragedy happens in the spotlight of a performance. Sometimes it unfolds quietly, where routine collides with the unexpected. For Max Alon, what began as a peaceful morning walk on a forest trail became a deadly encounter with an escaped circus giant, ending in a scene of sheer devastation. The morning of June 13, 2015, in Bin, Germany, was serene. The small town was waking slowly as sunlight filtered through the dense forest surrounding its quiet streets. It was the kind of morning that invited reflection and tranquility. But hidden in the shadows of the forest, an enormous figure moved silently. Setting the stage for a tragedy that would haunt the town forever, 65-year-old Maximilian began his day as he had done every morning since retiring from the local power station a year earlier. A dedicated engineer during his career, He was known for his meticulousness and his calm, steady demeanor. Retirement hadn't dulled his sense of purpose. He made it his routine to walk the wooded trails behind his house, often carrying a trash bag to collect litter along the way. He loved keeping the paths clean, a habit that endeared him to neighbors who frequently saw him on his walks. Maximilian wasn't just admired for his steadiness. He was a friendly face, always willing to stop for a chat with fellow walkers. The circus had come to Bend just a few days earlier, and its brightly colored tents had become the talk of the town. Circus Luna, a small traveling show, brought with it a variety of attractions, but its star performer was a 34-year-old African elephant named Baby. Standing over 10 feet tall and weighing 7,000 pounds, Baby was a central figure in the circus it acts, captivating audiences with her size and grace. She had been with the circus her entire life, performing tricks and parading under the lights of the big top. Yet Baby's history wasn't without controversy. In 2012, she had struck a young boy with her trunk, breaking his jaw, a dangerous sign of the power she carried beneath her highly trained behavior. The night before, Circus Luna had performed its usual show, with Baby as the star of the final. After the performance, her handlers led her back to her enclosure, secured the gate, and left for the night. What they didn't know was that someone would interfere. Investigators would later find footprints near the enclosure, suggesting that an unidentified person had tampered with the gate, leaving it open just enough for the elephant to wander free. As Maximilian walked that morning, Baby had already left the circus grounds. She had wandered into the forest near the outskirts of Bin. The towering trees concealed her massive form as she moved cautiously, her large ears shifting to detect sounds around her. Maximilian rounded a bend on the trail and suddenly came face to face with the enormous animal. Baby, her towering form framed by the dense forest, froze mid-step, her massive ears flared out as her trunk swung low. The silence of the moment filled with tension. For a moment, both man and elephant stood still. The calm of the morning shattered by the unexpected encounter. Baby let out a piercing trumpet, the sound blasting through the trees like a siren. Startled by the noise and overwhelmed by the unfamiliar environment, the massive elephant reared up onto her hind legs. Her front feet came crashing down with such force that the ground quaked, sending a shockwave through the forest floor. The vibration knocked Maximilian off balance, and he fell forward onto his hands and knees, his trash bag tumbling to the ground beside him. Baby's panic escalated. Her trunk lashed out, brushing against branches and sending leaves scattering. The towering creature surged forward, her powerful legs propelling her toward Maximilian in a blind charge. In an instant, one of her massive feet came down on his back. The crushing force of her weight shattered his spine and ribs instantly. The impact pressed his body into the forest floor, leaving him motionless. The attack ended as suddenly as it had begun. Baby, now disoriented and agitated, backed away from the lifeless figure and disappeared deeper into the woods. The only sounds that remained were the faint rustling of leaves and the distant echo of her trumpet. Maximilian's life had been extinguished in a single moment of overwhelming accidental violence, a collision of human routine and animal instinct. Back at the circus, the staff discovered Baby's empty enclosure during their morning rounds. Realizing the gate had been left open, they immediately raised the alarm, contacting local authorities and launching a search for the missing elephant. Meanwhile, Baby retreated deeper into the woods, her enormous body concealed among the trees. She was found hours later by her handler, who approached her cautiously, speaking softly. He coaxed her out of the forest and back into the circus grounds. It wasn't long before Maximilian's body was discovered on the forest trail. The quiet man who had spent his mornings caring for the forest trails was gone, his life cut short in an encounter that no one could have foreseen. Anticipated, the discovery led to questions about the events that allowed such an unusual and tragic encounter to unfold in the peaceful town. The investigation revealed clear signs of human interference with the gate to Baby's enclosure, but whoever had set her loose vanished without a trace. It seemed possible that the individual believed they were liberating the animals, acting out of a misguided sense of justice or compassion for a creature they saw as a trapped performer. Yet the person's actions, whether fueled by naivety or recklessness, brought tragedy instead of freedom. In the aftermath, Baby was moved to Safari Park Stukenbrock, a facility better equipped to house her alongside other elephants. The relocation wasn't just about logistics, it was a reset for the towering performer, a chance to trade the bright lights of the circus for the quieter rhythms of a spacious new home. There, Baby lived out her days in a controlled environment, no longer part of a performance, but still a commanding presence in her new domain. Thank you for watching these chilling animal attack stories. Time and again, we've seen how the connection between humans and powerful creatures can crumble in a moment, with devastating results. If you're ready for more, our next video unravels the tragic final moments of Kelly Ann Walls. What began as a routine day cleaning her black bear's enclosure turned into a deadly encounter with 350 pounds of raw power. Click now to discover the horrifying details of an attack that left her community in shock and raised haunting questions about the line between trust and instinct.